Hello everyone, welcome to the coverage for RBY OU Overused in SPL 16 Week 5, brought to you by yours truly, Marco ESD. So in this week, same rosters as the last week. We have two bangers. The first and the last one, Amaranth against Nicole and Chuva against Felix. So Amaranth against Nicole. Gengar Dido, they both go Psychic. And this is awkward for both players. Nicole gets the critical hit. So this looks like a free hypnosis. Amaranth is going to switch out. Nicole clicks Psychic instead. Starmie against Alakazam. Amaranth clicks Thunder Wave and Chansey comes in. Then Nicole goes Exeggutor, Amaranth Thunder Waves again. So it looks like he's not looking for the sleep early. Psychic again, predicting Chansey, but it's not going to happen. Special drop allows Amaranth to go Snorlax into Exeggutor, so Tauros and Snorlax meet. So this is a very good trade for Amaranth. Nicole doesn't feel comfortable switching again. Gengar is at risk, Starmie definitely cannot switch into Snorlax. Exeggutor is crippled, Chansey is paralyzed, so Snorlax is the only switch in here. Nicole just decides to attack with Tauros, gets the critical hit. Amaranth uses Earthquake, and Earthquake here is just as good as Body Slam. 40% Tauros is in Hyper Beam range, Blizzard range, Exeggutor's Psychic range. So Amaranth goes Cloyster, good Body Slam by Nicole. Then Nicole doesn't want to switch Starmie directly into Blizzard, doesn't want to risk the freeze. Cloyster uses Clamp, Nicole goes Exeggutor, predicting a possible switch to Snorlax. Then Starmie, nicely done. Then Nicole double switches to Gengar, but Exeggutor scares it out, so Nicole goes Chansey again. And right here Nicole is low on timer already. Snorlax comes in on turn 18, and this time Nicole has to go Snorlax. But it looks like this Snorlax has a problem with Gengar. Amaranth explodes, doesn't get the roll on Exeggutor. Revenge kills with Exeggutor, and this is what Gengar does. This is a 6-on-5, so Amaranth doesn't want to click Body Slam and let Gengar in. So Exeggutor is just going to use Psychic against Chansey. Then Amaranth goes Alakazam, and this feels like part of a chain switching. I think I would go Snorlax here if I were Nicole, because it also feels like Amaranth doesn't have Chansey, so Snorlax is some kind of a free agent or something. Nicole falls for the trap, goes Tauros, Amaranth goes Tauros as well, but Nicole's Tauros is in Hyper Beam range, so Exeggutor is sacrificed. Nicole goes Starmie, makes a double switch to Snorlax, trying to catch a switch to Alakazam. Amaranth goes Exeggutor, very nice play. Then clicks Sleep Powder. So this sequence of plays by Amaranth, wow. Then Snorlax against Chansey. Earthquake, Tauros comes in, Amaranth goes Cloyster, explosion on incoming Chansey. So 3 or 4 moves in a row by Amaranth. Very good stuff. Exeggutor revenge kills again. 4-on-4. Nicole's Pokemons are more crippled, but Starmie is a huge problem for Amaranth. Nicole explodes on Exeggutor, gets the critical hit. Then it's Starmie against Snorlax. Nicole needs either a critical hit or a correct prediction. Self-destruct on Starmie, and Tauros is going to win from here. So it looks like Amaranth brought a team that was very weak to Starmie, especially Psychic Blizzard, but he made up for that with great plays. Game 2, Alakazam against Jinx. Amaranth has Beambolt, Chansey, Nicole is going to fish for the freeze. Pressed. Turn 8. Amaranth knows that Nicole is going to switch out. Good prediction, uses Ice Beam. He doesn't have Sing, so all he can do is fishing for freeze, and he gets it. Then he goes Executor, gets a special drop on Jinx. Uses Alakazam as a middle switch. So Jinx is going to waste one Blizzard PP, then Chansey comes in. Thunderbolt gets Paralysis. So Soft Boiled, and Amaranth has a fresh Chansey against a fresh Snorlax. So it doesn't look like Nicole can get Paralysis off. This is very bad for Snorlax. Amaranth doesn't care about getting the sleep, he just clicks Thunder Wave, which is entirely correct. Double full paralysis, Amaranth makes progress. So this is like a winning matchup for Amaranth, however he decides to go Snorlax. Turn 31, Nicole goes Gengar, then tries to make a double switch to Jinx. Amaranth clicks Earthquake against Gengar, gets the knockout on Jinx. So this is another trend, players are trying to use back Gengar as a backup sleeper. That's a way for making room for Beambolt Chansey instead of Sing Chansey. And this game is an example of how back Gengar can fail, especially when paired with Jinx. Chansey got frozen, and Gengar's lack of staying power really shows. Turn 33, Nicole tries to use Blizzard on Snorlax for the freeze. Amaranth gets 2 body slams off against Tauros, and now Executor is very dangerous. So Amaranth goes Alakazam against Starmie. Turn 38, he risks getting knocked out by a critical hit Blizzard. Gengar is awake, so I wouldn't do that. However, risking a freeze isn't nice either. Turn 39, Chansey comes in. Thunder Wave on Snorlax, then Amaranth goes Gengar. Snorlax reveals Earthquake. Turn 43, Amaranth stays in, Nicole goes Frozen Chansey. Tauros comes in, gets the knockout. All Amaranth needs to win this game is to protect Chansey. Starmie against Tauros. Amaranth stays in, eats Thunder Wave. It's not the end of the world. I think this was a prediction, but it didn't work. Amaranth pulls back, goes Chansey. Chansey's paralyzed as well with Thunder Wave. Next, paralyzed Snorlax against paralyzed Tauros. Snorlax uses Rest, Executor comes in. However, Executor is paralyzed. At this point, Amaranth uses Sleep Powder, so Gengar goes to sleep. Stun Spore on incoming Snorlax. Psychic on incoming Starmie goes down to 1%, special drop. Stun Spore against Starmie misses, connects on attempt number 2. Then Chansey. Amaranth makes a double switch. Snorlax comes in, Tauros against Snorlax. This works very well for Amaranth. Snorlax uses Rest. Executor comes in. Nicole needs Snorlax to make progress, so double switch to Snorlax. Wakes up. Thunder Wave. Executor again. Amaranth reveals Rest on turn 67. Very nice. Turn 73, Amaranth goes Tauros. He is faster than Starmie. Full paralysis, back to Executor again. But at this point it looks like Nicole is not going to be able to deal with Executor, which is Rest. Turn 86, nice prediction by Amaranth. A little bit risky, but it was time to. Nicole lets Gengar go down. And at this point, Amaranth can find a way to win the game. Sacrifices Alakazam, goes Executor. Then goes Chansey on Starmie. Thunder Wave on Snorlax. Goes Executor again. Turn 101. Chansey is in danger. Gengar has Thunderbolt for Starmie. However, Thunderbolt plus Executor's Psychic is not going to knock out. So this is where paralyzed Tauros hurts. Gengar comes in into predicted rest. Snorlax is fully paralyzed, so good games, well played by both players. But Amaranth played better and eventually won. Simple as that. Yes, he got the freeze, but he just played very well. Then KAZ-SERPI. KAZ's Jinx, Serpi has Starmie. Thunder Wave for Lovely Kiss. Kaz goes Chansey, tries to use Thunder Wave, then Ice Beam. Serpi burns to sleep turns, goes Chansey on Thunderbolt. Kaz uses Thunder Wave and goes Jinx, predicting Sing. Serpi predicts Jinx, so uses Seismic Toss. Then Kaz goes Snorlax on the second Seismic Toss, which doesn't happen. Chansey is fully paralyzed. So turn 9, this is likely to be Sing Chansey, but I don't think Serp is going to use Sing. He settles for Thunder Wave indeed. However, Thunder Wave misses. So he goes Executor, uses Psychic, Snorlax body slams again. Then Kaz goes Jinx on predicted Sleep Powder. Chansey comes back again on Serpi's side. Kaz uses Blizzard, he misses. So Kaz goes Rhydon, Chansey is fully paralyzed. Body Slam on incoming Executor, no Paraslam. Serpi predicts Jinx to come in, goes Tauros. And Kaz has no third option. Like, he's either going to stay in with Rhydon, attack predicting a switch, or is going to switch Jinx. He goes Jinx, SERPI goes Tauros. KAZ is in Hyper Beam range, stays in, uses Blizzard, misses. So Jinx goes down, Tauros against Tauros. SERPI decides to go Zapdos because he knows that it's not going to do much against Rhydon. Stays in, predicts Tauros to stay in, uses Thunder Wave on Tauros, very nice. Then SERPI goes Starmie on Hyper Beam, which would grant him a switch, but Hyper Beam misses. Eventually SERPI sacrifices Zapdos, goes Tauros. And finally, KAZ's Tauros goes down. SERPI makes a double switch on turn 28, 29, goes Chansey into Thunderbolt, which was lured by his own Starmie. Starmie gets the critical hit. Had it been Surf, it would have been a problem. Then Surf misses, Chansey is fully paralyzed. KAZ is going to change his play, goes Rhydon. So SERPI sacrifices Starmie, and right now Exeggutor has free sleep powder. It connects. Stun Spore on Chansey. Snorlax comes in, critical hit into full paralysis. Another critical hit against Snorlax, and Exeggutor comes in on predicted rest. Starmie gets the much needed critical hit on Exeggutor. Then Thunder Waves Snorlax, another critical hit by SERPI's Snorlax. Turn 43, Snorlax is fully paralyzed. If this is Vizlax, Hyper Beam would have been a good move. Finally, on turn 45, self-destruct, which is a good move. So right now everything comes down to Tauros being able to take out Snorlax, sleeping Snorlax, which is on a rest cycle. And it does. Good game. KAZ had Rhydon against Zapdos, but SERPI got some timely critical hits. Both players played well, and this is the outcome. Sometimes Zapdos can beat Rhydon. Game 2, Starmie against Starmie. Both go Chansey. SERPI wins the speed tie and uses Sing. Next is Starmie against Snorlax. KAZ uses Thunder Wave, so Sleep can wait. At this point, KAZ keeps using Starmie against Snorlax, and SERPI decides to self-destruct on Starmie. Next, Exeggutor uses Stun Spore against Starmie. Starmie uses Blizzard, so no Sleep Powder. KAZ makes a double switch, turn 8 and 9. SERPI doesn't care, uses Thunder Wave, hits Snorlax. One Seismitoss, then Rhydon. KAZ uses Ice Beam, then has to switch out. Snorlax is quite crippled. Exeggutor comes in. Exeggutor is now in Hyper Beam range. Exeggutor against the Starmie is risky, however, couple full paralysis, special drop. Snorlax comes in. KAZ uses Reflect. SERPI goes Exeggutor, very nice. Snorlax is fully paralyzed, and now it's just fodder material. KAZ sacrifices Chansey, which is something very weird. Goes Tauros, uses Blizzard, critical hit, Sleep Powder misses, so we still have a game. Starmie comes in on predicted Hyper Beam, Thunder Wave on Tauros, and things now look very bad for KAZ, especially if he has Zapdos. Starmie goes down, but Chansey takes out Tauros. KAZ goes Exeggutor, Revenge kills with Hyper Beam, very nice. SERPI goes Tauros, Exeggutor is in Hyper Beam range, KAZ reveals Jolteon. SERPI uses Blizzard, smart move, but it was aimed at a potential Rhydon or Zapdos. Jolteon takes that, no problem. KAZ predicts Rhydon, uses Double Kick, critical hit, then Exeggutor into Earthquake, and unfortunately we know that this Exeggutor doesn't have Sleep Powder, so it's just going for Psychic plus Hyper Beam. KAZ goes first, Hyper Beam misses, Sleep Powder misses as well. Hyper Beam again, this time Rhydon comes in. Body Slam gets the very high roll for the knockout. Jolteon can now take out Rhydon. So SERPI goes Tauros. Thunderbolt is a 3-hit KO, 2-hit KO with critical hit. KAZ gets the critical hit, so SERPI needs the Paraslam. Either that or he needs to hope this Jolteon doesn't have Pin Missile. Paraslam, good games. Also, turn 48, Body Slam might be a sign that this Tauros doesn't have Earthquake. Anyway, good games, well played by both. This time the matchup was the opposite. KAZ had the Electric, SERPI had Rhydon. Hyper Beam Exeggutor did some very good things for KAZ. However, not getting the sleep eventually cost KAZ the game. Very nice predictions and plays by SERPI. KAZ still cannot catch a break. And also we haven't seen unconventional builds from KAZ yet. Then we have Prinz versus Shiloh. Both players lead with Jinx, Shiloh gets the sleep. Quick switches resulting in Jinx against Exeggutor. So Prinz uses Thunder Wave on Jinx, makes a chain switch, goes Snorlax into critical hit Blizzard. And this is an unconventional line, you see most players using Chansey to pressure Jinx. So maybe this is Mono Ice Beam, possibly counter. Anyway, Snorlax uses Self-Destruct against Chansey. Tauros against Jinx, so Shiloh decides to pull back, goes Snorlax. And Shiloh does the same, it trades Snorlax for Chansey. Shiloh reveals Starmie, and it looks like Exeggutor is going to be the answer. We don't know Shiloh's moveset, but Exeggutor is threatening Sleep Powder. On turn 19, Prinz allows Tauros to come in, and this is going to be costly. Prinz loses Sleep Claws. Tauros Dido, Shiloh wins it. Prinz reveals Zapdos, which is the only way Prinz can win this game, only unrevealed Pokemon that can turn the game around. But only if Shiloh doesn't have Rhydon. Turn 24, Shiloh goes Starmie. So this might signal that he doesn't have a Rhydon indeed. Thunder Wave on Zapdos, full paralysis, Surf. Alexander uses agility, full paralysis, Surf doesn't knock out, but Zapdos doesn't get the critical hit, so Zapdos goes down. Executor uses Sleep Powder on Starmie, but it's now going to lose to Jinx. Well, with special drops and full paralysis, Executor actually beats Jinx. Shiloh has Articuno, so good game, 35 turns, very quick. Zapdos was very dangerous in this matchup, but after losing the speed tie with Jinx, Prince didn't have a backup plan. Game 2, both players lead with Jolteon, which is very rare. Alexander goes Executor, Pin Missile, critical hit, Sleep Powder misses, and this is very bad. Alakazam switches into Pin Missile. Shiloh goes Executor, Prince goes Executor again, it doesn't explode. Jolteon comes in, so Alakazam will switch in again. Pin Missile, turn 8, Shiloh tries to get the critical hit for the knockout, doesn't get it, so back to Executor. Psychic on Prince's Executor. Explosion, nice prediction, Shiloh goes Gengar. Prince goes Alakazam. Shiloh goes Executor, no problem. Full paralysis, then explosion. 5 on 4. Snorlax against Jolteon. Prince goes Snorlax, uses counter on incoming Gengar. Very nice. Shiloh takes a huge risk, clicks Hypnosis twice. After Snorlax immediately wakes up, he doesn't miss. Then goes back to Snorlax and this game is almost over. However, Prince wakes up early and he gets the right prediction on turn 22, uses Earthquake on incoming Gengar. However, Tauros Revenge Kills gets a good roll. Prince reveals Persian, which is just too frail here. Shiloh is just going to click Hyper Beam. Prince doesn't have many options, maybe Jolteon, Thunder Wave, predicting Hyper Beam. So Prince goes Jolteon, but Shiloh has Jolteon as well, so they are going to trade Thunder Wave, and from this point Shiloh is going to win. Prince still has a fresh Tauros, but Snorlax explodes and Alakazam is going to win the game. So good games, very fast games. Very well executed plan by Shiloh. Prince didn't have good plans early in the game and just lost. Then Sceptross against Louise. Alakazam against Starmie matchup. We don't see this a lot these days. This is more of 2017-18 stuff. Alakazam is very dangerous for Starmie. Eventually, triple full paralysis, Starmie is in trouble, turn 9, it's forced out. Then by turn 14, Executor is crippled as well. Then on turn 16, Luis tries to catch a switch to a status absorber by going Snorlax. Sceptross has the guts to click Thunder Wave, catches Snorlax, then goes Snorlax. Reflect. Both players have Reflect. Luis has Ice Beam, gets the immediate freeze on Snorlax. Sceptross goes Zapdos. Luis is fully paralyzed. One body slam on Zapdos, then Luis goes Chansey. Good call. Thunder Wave on Chansey. Then back to Snorlax immediately, full paralysis. On turn 25, Luis uses Body Slam, which is okay, I guess. He doesn't want to let something in like Starmie. I think he's fine by just trading stuff and keeping momentum. This might also depend on his last Pokemon. Like, he has full information. Sceptross has everything revealed. Snorlax is fully paralyzed. Chansey uses Soft Boil. Sceptross goes Starmie on Predicted Rest. Recover. Turn 30, Thunder Wave on Snorlax. And Starmie goes down. So things look very good for Luis right here. Sceptross goes Tauros against Snorlax. Critical hit, so Snorlax goes down, Tauros is down to 38%. Turn 35. Luis goes Tauros, misses Hyper Beam. Then Sceptross pulls back, goes Snorlax on Predicted Hyper Beam. So he can get the free switch. He doesn't. Tauros gets the critical hit. Zapdos comes in, uses Thunder Wave on Tauros. And then Tauros takes out Zapdos. Tauros revenge kills for Sceptross. Exeggutor uses Psychic against Chansey, then explodes immediately. Sceptross predicts explosion, goes Exeggutor. And right now, we need to know what is the last Pokemon for Luis. And Luis goes Chansey. This means that he doesn't have a plan for beating Sceptross' Chansey. And this is not what I expected. Luis had full information and let Snorlax and then Tauros go down. Then he rushed Explosion. I mean, most likely this is Starmie, and there were multiple turns where Starmie and Chansey could have taken a hit for the team. And even now, it looks like Luis is not making use of his last Pokemon. I mean, he can go Alakazam, try to wake up if Sceptross goes Tauros, which is likely to happen. He's going to go to his last Pokemon, force Tauros out again. So Chansey comes in, Alakazam comes in again. It's going to burn another turn, and eventually it's going to wake up. Either that or Tauros is going to win the game. He can also try to go Chansey into Tauros Body Slam, trying to lure Hyper Beam. There are multiple options, like these aren't great options, but he has to do something. This Chansey is eventually going to get frozen, which happens on turn 58. So Starmie is revealed, and at this point the game is almost over. Thunder Wave on Starmie. Yeah. Only out is Alakazam wakes up. Critical hit Body Slam Hyper Beam. Good game. Yeah, usually I say good game, well played by both, but when I say good game, well played by both players, I really mean that. If I see something that I don't like, I'm going to call it out bluntly. And this game, Sceptross lost his Starmie early in the game. Luis had the advantage and couldn't convert it into a victory. Mostly because he misused his Snorlax and his Tauros while not using Starmie and Chansey to preserve them. Game 2. Jinx against Alakazam. Luis gets the sleep. Then Sceptross forces rest. So this is somewhat risky for both players. Luis is going to lose Jinx to a critical hit Thunderbolt. Sceptross is going to risk a freeze. And both things are 10% like to happen. Luis gets the freeze on Chansey. Then Snorlax comes in, double switch to Exeggutor, and Sceptross uses Hyper Beam. Very nice, gets the clean knockout on Jinx, and is now going to get the sleep as well. So Sceptross now has the lead. Both players now have a sleep fodder. Sceptross has a frozen Pokemon, and it's a 6-on-5, so Sceptross has the lead. Starmie Thunder Waves Chansey, Thunderbolt. Sceptross pulls back, goes Snorlax, as Luis falls for the bait. He tried to go Tauros on sleeping Alakazam. So Snorlax against Tauros. Tauros gets the critical hit. Sceptross will sacrifice Chansey. Starmie's back in action, uses Recover. Then Sceptross goes Snorlax. Luis uses Thunder Wave, then goes Tauros. Snorlax is fully paralyzed, so Sceptross is going to sacrifice Alakazam. This isn't a problem. Jinx is gone, Exeggutor is sleeping, and Chansey is Thunderbolt, so no Sing, Thunderbolt, Thunder Wave. Sceptross has the option to go for the Tauros Ditto, which doesn't happen because he knows that Luis might have Zapdos in his last unrevealed slot. So Luis is up 5-4. So he goes Exeggutor, uses some Psychics, gets a special drop. So with just Tube Psychics, he is going to enable a switch to Snorlax, use Rest. Turn 31, Luis predicts Rest, goes Tauros, puts pressure, doesn't get the critical hit, doesn't get the Power Slam on Starmie. 36, Thunder Wave on Snorlax, so Luis goes Snorlax. Sceptross has Reflect. So at this point, we don't know the last one for Luis. Jinx Exeggutor, this is likely to be either Zapdos or Cloyster, or maybe Starmie. So this is a good time to go to a special attacker, like on turn 38 maybe. Luis goes Exeggutor, and Exeggutor wakes up just as Snorlax finishes it with Hyper Beam. Tauros comes in, Snorlax uses Rest, so Luis goes Snorlax and we have a stall war between Snorlax. Sceptross goes Executor on turn 56, double switch to Snorlax, but this is not going to be enough to end the stall war. However, second attempt, turn 67, Executor comes in on predicted rest. And the pressure by Sceptross is rewarded. Starmie is paraslammed. Turn 76, Sceptross tries to go Tauros, and if Starmie is fully paralyzed, Tauros can threaten the sweep. However, Starmie uses Recover. Turn 79, Starmie reveals Surf, so Executor is a safe switch. Special drop Snorlax. It's a critical hit Surf, so Luis predicts rest. Turn 84, Sceptross uses Body Slam instead, and he sacrifices Snorlax. Turn 86, Body Slam by Sceptross. Luis stays in, and from this point, Executor is going to be a pain. Turn 89, Sceptross tries to use Explosion on Starmie. Luis goes Chansey instead, so Starmie is going to be a problem for Sceptross. Luis has Surf, so this is Surf Thunderbolt Starmie. I think Luis has to go Snorlax, and he needs to try and win this game with Starmie. So Snorlax is not going to win the game, the win condition is Starmie, and he needs to use Snorlax to get rid of special drops. It looks like he doesn't want to let Snorlax go, so he tries to beat Starmie with Snorlax, and eventually loses the game, which makes me wonder whether this Starmie was Thunderbolt or not. Like 99% of the time, Surf Starmie is Surf Thunderbolt. So good games, but I think Luis was not comfortable using Starmie in these games. Both times, mid-game to late game, he had the advantage and could not convert this advantage into a victory. So somehow Sceptross maneuvered his way out of a bad spot. Finally we have Chuva against Felix. Chuva leads with Jolteon, Felix has Gengar. Both players go Executor, and Felix wins the speed tie. Tauros comes in on Sleeping Executor, Chuva goes Cloyster, gets paraslammed, and Felix has Starmie. Cloyster is fully paralyzed. So Thunder Wave on Chansey, then Felix goes Gengar on Sing. Sing misses, full paralysis, and Felix explodes on Chansey. Tauros comes in, Chansey is gone. So turn 11, it's quite clear that the most important pieces are respectively Jolteon and Starmie. Felix decides to use Earthquake against Jolteon, so he's basically sacrificing Tauros to deal with Jolteon. Earthquake will knock out Jolteon in one hit with a critical hit, and that is 21% likely to happen. On the other hand, a Paraslam is 30%. However, Felix is really looking for the knockout, So he goes Earthquake first, planning on using Body Slam next. So Snorlax will switch into Body Slam. No Hyper Beam. Tauros is fully paralyzed twice. So this trade worked well for Chuva, but he still needs to find a way to beat Starmie. On top of that, Felix's Exeggutor gets the critical hit on Snorlax. On turn 19, Chuva makes a double switch, uses Sleeping Exeggutor to lure Starmie, and then he goes Tauros. No Paraslam, so Felix clearly has the advantage here. Chuva goes Cloyster, then Tauros into Unstatus Chansey, which is not going to work. However, he gets a critical hit, but that's not enough. So he goes Jolteon on turn 27, uses Thunder Wave, but Chansey gets the move. Jolteon is Thunder Waved as well, so Felix goes Snorlax. Chuva goes Cloyster, is fully paralyzed again. He sacrifices Tauros. Jolteon forces Starmie out. Felix goes Chansey, makes a double switch to Snorlax, catching Jolteon's rest. And at this point, Snorlax is going to deal a lot of significant damage. Takes out Sleeping Exeggutor. Turn 38, Chuva makes a double switch, goes Cloyster, then back to Jolteon. Felix wants to force rest with Chansey and then goes Snorlax. Chuva tries to predict that switch to Snorlax by using Thunder Wave. However, Snorlax is not into critical hit range, so this is not going to work. Also, Felix doesn't switch, gets the knockout. Good game. So the game mostly came down to Chuva not getting the sleep off, lost the Exeggutor speed tie. Sing missed, Felix exploded with Gengar, and after that, Starmie became a major problem. Jolteon had too many obstacles on his path, so Felix got the win. Well played. Game 2, Felix has Gengar, Chuva has Alakazam. Felix goes Exeggutor, lands Sleep Powder. Chansey comes in, Felix goes Tauros. So Chuva uses Seismic Toss on incoming Exeggutor. Felix uses Rest. Turn 6, I think Chuva predicts Gengar to come in, and maybe this Snorlax is Monolax. So Chuva goes Exeggutor and makes a chain switch to Tauros, predicting Sleeping Exeggutor to come in. However, Felix doesn't go Exeggutor, he stays in with Gengar in front of Exeggutor, catches the switch to Tauros, Nightshade, 100 damage on Tauros, very nice. Earthquake, Felix goes Snorlax, then Starmie. Chuva stays in, gets the Paraslam on Starmie, and then Thunderbolt, critical hit. Starmie goes down, very nice. Felix goes Chansey, Chuva goes Alakazam, and then Chansey. Felix Thunder Waves twice. So Rest Exeggutor is back, so still no sleep for Chuva. Chuva goes Tauros, uses Body Slam on Exeggutor, critical hit. Felix will save Exeggutor, goes Snorlax, then self-destruct. Chuva predicts that, goes Rhydon. So this is a very old structure. Alakazam lead, Exeggutor S4 plus Rhydon. 2010 stuff, used by a newer player. Tauros Revenge kills, uses Blizzard, critical hit, Rhydon goes down. So Chuva follows with Exeggutor. He uses Psychic, instead of Sleep Powder predicting a switch to Executor, which is down to 70%, he keeps using Psychic, so he gets the knockout on Felix's Executor, and then he gets the sleep on Tauros after Blizzard gets a critical hit. Stun Spore on Chansey, Psychic, and Chuva has Rest as well. This is Rest Executor's weak. So Sleeping Tauros comes in, but it's not going to wake up. So both players go Chansey, but Chuva has way more material. Tauros doesn't wake up, so Felix forfeits the game. Very nice moves by Chuva. Got the clean knockout on Starmie, then the free knockout on Rest Executor. Predicted Snorlax's self-destruct with Rhydon. That's 3 knockouts. So final game of the week, Chuva leads with Tauros, stays in against Starmie, gets Thunder Waved. However, he gets the critical hit, then critical hit and Paraslam, and full paralysis on Starmie. Thunderbolt gets the knockout. Felix goes Executor, uses Psychic. Chuva stays in, is fully paralyzed, and is completely fine with letting Tauros go down. Wow, this is weird. Victory Ball, so this is like a wrap build. Sleep Powder connects, tries Stun Spore, Executor stays in. So it looks like Chuva is trying to let this Executor wake up, sleep again. He tries Sleep Powder again, misses, Psychic gets a critical hit, Victory Ball goes down. So Chuva goes Starmie, Thunder Wave on Chansey. Felix misses Sing, but he predicts a switch to Snorlax, goes Executor, so turn 15, free Sleep Powder. He misses, Snorlax uses self-destruct. This is a 4-on-3. Chuva can win 3-on-4 because he has Dragonite. This guy can be either the hero or the GOAT. Not the greatest of all times, just a GOAT. So Felix goes Tauros. Dragonite uses Thunder Wave, but then Wrap misses. So it's Starmie against Chansey. Felix goes Tauros. It doesn't do anything. Back to Chansey. Turn 34, nice prediction by Chuva, uses Thunder Wave on incoming Snorlax. So some more PP stalling. 2 hours later, Starmie uses Struggle, Felix goes Rhydon, so it looks like last Pokemon for Chuva is Zapdos, so he forfeits. Good games, well played. However, I feel like this team was not up to par with Chuva's skills. I wanted to see some more conventional stuff, but it's okay. At the end of the day, these Pokemon are part of the metagame. They just did not work, like Dragonite missed, Victory Ball missed. It is what it is. So overall, I think we can safely state that there was some kind of fatigue, weariness by some players. Those who could stay consistent got the best score. So Amaranth, SERPI and Sceptross. Also, there is a trend of players trying to drop Sing. They want to use Ice Beam Thunderbolt for better coverage and more PPs, so they are trying to use back Gengar and Rest Executor as the sleepers. That's it, so thanks for watching and see you again for week 6.